Of course, 2022 was a bad year for consumers on multiple fronts. The increasing cost of living is leaving people with mounting debt. The Reserve Bank found that almost 63% of the average person's income is spent repaying debt. Rentoza is a subscription service for electronics, appliances and other consumer goods. Founder Mishaan Ratan says this is one way to escape the debt trap. He joins us now live here on ENCA to discuss this further. Mishaan, how did the 2022 economic uncertainty affect consumers' living standards?
So I know you've been talking about it now on your show as well. You've seen, over the last year, let's look at some of the numbers. Increase in petrol price, 19%, transport, 15%. You're looking at basic food, you're looking at 15% as well. So these things have all compounded and people are really struggling to, meet the basics in their lives now on a monthly basis, and the decision making is changing constantly. So you're living in this space where you're having to make, decisions where you have to substitute even the basic basket of goods on a monthly basis, and sometimes even deciding whether to buy these things or not any longer. So it's really a lot of pressure for the vast majority of South Africans currently.
And how does the current state of economic effect of the economy affect the way consumers purchase goods?
Well, on the back of that, what you're seeing is that people are now taking on, unsecured debt to purchase basic goods. So, store cards, credit cards, small loans, micro loans to make these purchases. And I mean, you're looking at people taking on groceries on credit now. That's the state of things. And people are sort of starting to get used to this way of purchasing, because you've seen in general about 41% increase overall in unsecured lending that's happened over the last year as well. And this is tough on consumers, but I think that they're going to see, people start using, more and more debt now over the next year with the increase in interest rates that are coming. We know they're definitely coming.
Yeah.
So people are going to continue behaving in this way, and I think that it's going to get to a point where people are going to really struggle, even at the baseline, to make these decisions going forward.
Let's take a look at, e-commerce trends. Basically, what can we as a country anticipate for 2023 when it comes to e-commerce trends?
Well, there's a lot of positivity when it comes to e-commerce, actually. I mean, if we look at what happened last year, the last quarter of last year, especially the retail season, we've seen a massive increase in spend when it comes to e-commerce. Out of the 2.5 billion which was spent in Black Friday and that retail season, 670 million rand was spent on e-commerce. That's massive. That's also about 11% increase on the year before. And what you're going to see this year, I think, is that trend continuing. But on the back of that, with the tough decisions people are having to make, I think people are starting to move towards e-commerce, because in the last 2 years we've been forced to, look at things differently, find better ways to make purchases, evaluate our purchases better. And having access to the internet and having these multitude of e-commerce models allows us to make these decisions. And when it comes to sort of the trends that are going to help people make better decisions, you're looking at, I think the big three things for us at Rentoza are sort of, you're looking at an omni-channel experience. And I know this has been spoken about for years, an omni-channel experience where you can start in one place and end in the other. I think that becomes something quite real. We personally have gone from e-commerce and actually opened a store. So now you've got a connection between, starting a journey on an online platform and actually finishing it in a retail store. That's going to start becoming more prevalent now, not just for us, but across many retailers. I think the second thing you're looking at as well is social commerce. So, I mean, we spend 6 hours maybe a day on social media. It's the prime place for people to make transactions now, and you've got influencers that are helping that space as well. And people are going to start transacting a lot more on social commerce as we see throughout the next year. And I think those two things converging together will also see, recommendation getting better. So, we're talking about how we evaluate the different products that we want in our lives on a daily basis. Now, as you start interacting more and the growth in e-commerce happens, we're feeding more information to the system across different channels in our social platforms. You're going to see, recommendation engines getting a lot better. So, the things that you need on a daily basis, you'll be fed, quite effectively now moving forward over the next year. Yes, it won't be perfect, and yes, it has been happening for a while. But I think that, with the growth in e-commerce and the growth in interaction in this space, you'll start seeing this become better and better. So people will be able to find the stuff that they need faster and at a better price.
Yeah, interesting. Let's talk about the subscription model. How does this help consumers accrue less debt?
Okay, so we spoke about, what was spent on e-commerce just last year and that last period. I mean, that's an F&B stat. And if you look at that, that's all, of credit and debit card, right? If we say, for example, that was 50% that was spent on there, you're looking at over 300 million in debt that people have gotten into. And if you're not paying that consistently, you're now extending yourself over a longer period of time and sort of digging yourself into a bigger hole, right? What we do with subscription now is that it's non-credit at all, right? So subscription is actually a pay-as-you-use model. So whatever you want to utilize, you pay a monthly fee to use. If you don't want it any longer, you can cancel. You can do whatever you want to make sure that you don't need that service any longer. So if you think about the current subscription as a service models, you can get your movies, you can get your music. Most of us have these kind of subscriptions, and you're seeing this happen when it comes to sort of car subscriptions now that are coming to life in South Africa, and even solar and energy subscriptions, which are becoming a necessity, right? So what's happened is that you're not getting credit vetted at the back of it. There is no credit model that sits behind it, specifically for Rentoza and the products that we have. So you don't have to go into credit or into long-term debt to actually access the products that you need, like your phone, your laptop, your fridge, microwave, all the essential everyday products that you utilize. So should you have to make decisions like we're going to have to in the future, you're not burdened by this long-term debt. You actually have the ability to go, hey, I can cancel this and I don't need to use it any longer, or I can downgrade it or upgrade it to something better, and just have the flexibility to manage my lifestyle a little bit better, but still drive the outcomes that I want from the products that I need.
Of course, very interesting what you mentioned with this subscription model. Do you think this will, in this year, will we be seeing an upwards trajectory when it comes to that?
In terms of subscription models in general?
Yes.
I think we've seen an increase over the last sort of 3 years that's happened in South Africa, even 4, right? I mean, COVID has sort of accelerated a lot of things in this space, and that's also a subscription model. Globally, the subscription model has been growing for a while. And if we look at the EMEA region, you're looking at a growth of about 14% annually. I think here last year, just for us, it was about 8% growth in subscription models. And that's sort of skewed to subscription as a service, but we're offering something different, which is your actual product as a subscription, and the hardware as a subscription now moving forward. And I think over the next 5 years, that'll continue to grow, and we'll start seeing a tremendous amount of products and services that become subscription models completely.
Thank you so much. That, of course, being Mishaan Ratan here on ENCA, just giving us an explanation there about how household debt has increased, but there are solutions to that problem.